Okay, first of all, I want to apologize for the mic sound. It's kind of over here on the side because I don't want to hold it, because when I hold it, it does this thing where it will kind of filter out low sounds and just keep the highs, or it'll filter out the highs and just keep the lows out of nowhere, and I can't really control it, so I'm going to put it over here, and you're going to have to deal with the echo that's kind of going around. I'll get a better setup soon, don't worry. Okay, before you call me Anthony Fantano clone, this is just temporary because I thought it would be a good idea, and I move my hands a lot, so it might just be ideal for that. Anyways, today's review, I will be talking about the new Vale-Smith album, Rekindle. Okay, Rekindle, the new Vale-Smith album, and on first listen, I was kind of iffy about it. On second listen, I was kind of still iffy about it. I was like, oh, this might not be my thing, but on third listen, everything just clicked. Everything just like kind of clicked, and I was like, holy shit. Okay, first of all, I want to get one thing out of the way, is that I'm posting on this channel again. Haven't posted in like about a year or two now? It's been like a year, I'm pretty sure. We're talking about the new Vale-Smith album, Rekindle. First thing I want to get out of the way is the cover. Now, when I first saw the cover announced, I was like, the cover is a little weird, I can say. The photo collage idea is really cool. It's just the little font, like the cursive font that's kind of everywhere. It kind of looks a little off-putting. It's like this grayish color, and it has this kind of weird look to it. Same with the text about right up here. That text, it's kind of just like, that font is cool. It's definitely a cool font, but it's just like, it definitely doesn't fit the album sound that much. The sound of the album definitely does not fit the cover as well as some of the other covers. Like Core Skate had this cool like bubbly cover, which surprisingly I found out was an actual bubble being blown, which I should have probably guessed from the cover because he's holding like a thing. The album Are You Sick of Being Unlucky, which I actually have right here on CD, has this kind of interesting cover that's very similar to Rekindle. It's like a kind of like a photo collage, but the little borders and like the text, they aren't there. It's just a bunch of this photo collage, and it kind of adds to the sound of the album being a little like dynamic, like all the dynamics in the album. I completely forgot to talk about the background behind Vale-Smith himself. So Vale-Smith is also a YouTube reviewer here on YouTube, goes under the name Buffalo Staple. A while ago he did a couple reviews on some, like he did like reviews kind of like this. Hey, Vale-Smith, why did you give First Taste by Ty Segall like that's 5? It's a good-ass album. I don't know how you'd rate it that low. Okay, on to the actual album though. The album starts off with the track Wanna Fly, which is very, very similar to Ceramic Skies off of Core Skate. It has the same key and stuff like that. It's a really nice opener. It has that same exact kind of feel that you get with Ceramic Skies, where you know you're getting into something kind of uplifting, but it's the opposite. You think you're getting into something uplifting, and then you get into this kind of darker turn of an album. There's more darker songs on here than I thought there would be. The track after that is One Conversation, which I'll most likely just call One Convo every time I refer back to it, because I don't want to say conversation every time. It's very glitchy at the beginning, which already had me excited to listen to it, because there was these little glitches going around, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a glitchy one. And then it goes into the actual song, and I'm still enjoying it because it's very upbeat, it's punchy. There's this really, really cool bass in there that I like. And there's some sparkly synths, sparkly little effects that are happening all over the song. It's really, really good. The title track, Rekindle, which comes after One Convo, is pretty similar to One Convo as well. As the same kind of thing. It's also punchy, it's also pretty glitchy. It's kind of upbeat. The next track, Starlight Beamin, which is kind of a goofy name, but I'm not gonna complain about that. It is kind of repetitive. Now, when the single came out, I was a pretty big fan of it. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen how much I posted about it. I showed my Last FM page and there was like 20 plays. I think I might have overplayed it a little bit because after listening to the album, that song definitely was kind of a tone down from everything else, and it felt more... My house is really fucking loud today. The one day I decided to record an album review, everything's happening. Back to what I was saying, the track Starlight Beamin, it definitely died on me after replaying it too much. Okay, back to what I was saying. The track Starlight Beamin is definitely a lower point on the album, as it was kind of, I overplayed it a lot, and after re-listening to it in the full album, I was kind of like, this doesn't really hit as much as it did when I first listened to it, which kind of sucked because I really enjoyed that track when I first heard it. Mainly because I really wanted something new from Vale-Smith at the time, and once that single was released, I went crazy over it. But then realized after it's not really the best thing ever. It's definitely a good track, but yeah, it kind of died on me. It just kind of died on me. There is some cool vocal samples in there, and I think the melodies are really cool, but then after that you have the track Downloading. This is a more darker turn. After Starlight Beamin, you have this track, which is a lot more darker than the last. There's a lot of these glitchy drums that the best way I could describe them would sound like kitchen supplies and shit. I guess that would be a pretty good observation to make, or a pretty good comparison to those drums because they definitely sound like that. There's some cool melodies in there, there's some cool effects that end up coming on the melodies and synths that came out so wrong. And there's also some like string or brass sounding instruments in there that also add to the factor of it just being like this huge epic. The track Glade Road or Glad Road is just a turn. Stop! The track Glade Road or Glad Road is a completely different turn. It's like a whole 180 from the last track, Downloading, which is a lot more upbeat. It's kind of happy sounding as well, and also has the sound of a video game level, is the best way I could also describe that one. After that, you have the track Sucker Punch, which is probably my favorite one of the singles that was released. Wanna Fly and Starlight Beamin. I didn't really listen to Wanna Fly that much when it came out, but Starlight Beamin I overplayed. Sucker Punch just never got old. I listened to it so many times, and the amount of punchiness and just the amount of insanity that happened in that song was absolutely amazing. It just immediately starts by just kicking you in the face with this huge just line of 808s and melodies that are just going all over the fucking place. It's probably my favorite track off of the album, but there is a couple that could probably overtake that one, and that's when I'll get to those later on. The track Perfect View is a shorter cut of the album. It's another darker sounding one, so that's another thing that kind of shows in this album is there's a lot more songs that sound dark or have like a minor key or something like that. It's short, like I said, it's really glitchy, and there's a couple of granulized stuff, I'm pretty sure. But then you go into the track Ice. The vocal sample in this track is absolutely amazing. I love the vocal sample in this track. It's very, very danceable. Every time I hear the track, I can literally just start headbanging or just like absolutely going crazy. It's such a good track. If Vale-Smith were to ever play live, I would really hope that there would be a mosh pit to this song. It's a little darkerish as well. It might not be too dark, but it's like it's more on like the side of like Downloading and Sucker Punch and Perfect View. The next track after that is Kinset or Time Set. I don't know how to say it, which it has a cool vocal drop, but it's also kind of repetitive and very simplistic. Now, I do like a lot of simplistic songs. I make a lot of simplistic songs as well, but this one was just kind of repetitive. Only thing I can say about it is that it has a pretty cool vocal chop. It's not my favorite. But then you have Just My Luck after that, which is just so good. It has this really, really cool vocal sample, which, fun fact, is the same vocal sample that was sampled in Tethered to Us off of Chorus Gate. If I remember correctly, that's what it is. It's also a pretty danceable track with, like, it has more of like an EDM, I guess, like, mainstream upbeat kind of thing, I guess. There's these really cool chords and backing synths that definitely will get stuck in your head. The instrumental also has this kind of ambient-ish sound to it, which is also pretty cool that I do enjoy. After that, you have Lightning World, which is also another one of my favorite tracks, as well as one of my friend's favorite tracks. This super cool sample, which, fun fact, is actually taken from an album review, which is fucking insane. I would have never guessed that that's what it was taken from, but according to one of my friends, that's what it was taken from. It's also a more darker track, and there's these really kicky 808s, and it's just kind of like dark and just harsh and all in your face. Like I said, super punchy 808s. It's very, very harsh, which is something that I love about it. Definitely another favorite. The next track, Hula. The next track, Hula, is another shorter cut in the album. Sounds a lot like Pogo stuff. If you don't know who Pogo is, then where the fuck have you been? Do you even listen to music? Pogo is is mainly on YouTube, and he likes to sample movies and make these songs entirely out of clips from movies or clips from TV shows. Super, super interesting, and I would go listen to his music like right away. I would recommend the album Valley of Shadow, which has a lot of these cool little cuts in there, especially the intro track. Back to Hula, there's a lot of these little vocal samples that are scattered around the track. Track Busted is another upbeat one. It sounds really, really cool. There's this really awesome beat switch that comes in near the beginning, I'm pretty sure, that kind of just catches you off guard, but it's really, really cool. The only downer about this track is that the drums sound like FL Studio stock drums, which is kind of a shitpost at this point to me, since I use them so much in my old music that every time I hear them I'm just like, that's the only bad thing about it. The next track, Ensign, is an amazing fucking closer. Very exciting, and again, upbeat. It's really fast-paced. Has that signature Vale-Smith closer sound to it. Every Vale-Smith album has this just dramatic closer to it, which I have been able to see in almost every single one of his projects. And that's all the tracks off of Rekindle, and now let's just talk about the album itself in whole. Basically the afterthought. This was a really, really solid project. In my opinion, this might be better than Chorus Gate. I know a lot of people are gonna probably hate on me for this, but this might be better than Chorus Gate in my opinion. I am very much into a lot more harsh and darker sounding albums. And this one definitely delivered with that. Tracks are a lot more fast-paced and exciting, for example, like Sucker Punch or Ice. There's a lot of these really interesting vocal samples just sprinkled all over it. It's like they're everywhere. The singles definitely got me hyped for the album, and then they totally delivered with the full album. And then the only bad thing is that some songs can be a little repetitive, and there's a lot of songs that I wish were really, like, or not really, but there's a lot of songs I wish were longer on this thing. The only track that I didn't really like were Kismet and Starlight Beamin. And those two tracks are still really good, and I wouldn't skip over them if I were listening to the whole album, but they aren't tracks that I would necessarily come back to on their own. So in total, I would give this album about a 8.7 to a 9 out of 10. I'm hoping to review the entire Vale-Smith discography and then eventually do like a worst to best at the end. But all in all, this album is extremely solid and I enjoyed it a lot. Recently came out on vinyl, which I'd recommend you go and pick up if you want to. I didn't because I have no money. But yeah, that's it for the review. I hope you guys enjoy. Welcome back to this channel, I guess, since I'm doing more stuff on here now. That's about it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.